I enlisted the help of ChatGPT, and I asked one simple question. Give me the top 5 most likely teams to win next year's Super Bowl. Welcome to Slice Sports. This is Top 5 in 5, where we break down the latest happenings and greatest moments in sports, 5 at a time. Today I felt a little off. The old brain wasn't working like it normally does, so I decided to enlist some help. Not just any help, I enlisted the help of ChatGPT. I want to remind you that liking, commenting, and subscribing is the best way to support this work that I do. Alright, that's my one and only plug, I promise. Let's get into it. So ChatGPT didn't just give me a list of 5 teams, it actually gave me a little information on why it's predicting that these are the 5 most likely teams to win the Super Bowl. So before I get into my opinion on it, I'm going to read to you exactly what it said. Coming in here at number 5 is the Detroit Lions. Surprisingly, the Lions are seen as a dark horse with promising odds for the 2025 Super Bowl. This could be attributed to their improving performance, potential offseason acquisitions, and the development of their young talents, making them an interesting team to follow. I actually have the Lions higher. I mean, not only are they going to not lose a lot of pieces on the field, but they're also not losing pieces on the sidelines. In particular, offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, he was a hot commodity on the head coaching market this year, choosing to stay. If this team can stay healthy and do a lot of the same things that they did in the 2023 season, they're higher on this list for me. I mean, they made it to the NFC Championship. They should have won the NFC Championship. Dan Campbell was outcoached in my opinion, but not necessarily in a bad way. He kind of lived by the sword and died by the sword. It would be easy to criticize him if he wasn't doing the things he did in the NFC Championship all year long. So to sit here and say that he choked it away, I don't think so. He just made a lot of the same decisions, and it paid off a lot during the regular season, but didn't pay off in the NFC Championship, unfortunately. So ChatGPT has the Lions at 5. I'm not saying I would have the Lions at 1, but I would have them a little higher. Maybe like a 3-4-ish team somewhere in there. But hey, they're included on ChatGPT's list, validating what a lot of us think. They are for real. I hope they perform. According to ChatGPT, the 4th most likely team to win Super Bowl 59 is the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are also in the mix with competitive odds for the 2025 Super Bowl. Their strong offense and defensive lineup, combined with strategic coaching, positions them as a team to watch in the upcoming season. Okay, ChatGPT, that's so basic. See, this is what I'm used to from ChatGPT. Not a lot of personality here at all. This is just such a blanket statement. I mean, this could be said about anybody. This could be said about literally any team ever. Good, bad, whatever. My review of what ChatGPT has to say is it sucks, so you're just going to get my thoughts on the Bills. Now, obviously, I am a Steelers fan. If you look around you, you'll know that. But, God, I've been cheering for the Bills these last few years. Haven't we all? This is a repeat of the early 90s. They have such a talented team. And a lot of people, myself included, felt like that window closed this year. I mean, they were firing coaches. It was looking bad. And then they end up with the 2 seed. I don't know how that happened, but it did. And in the playoffs, they look tough. I don't know. To me, if I'm making a list, I don't even know if I have them in the top 5. They could have the most talented roster in the league, and I don't know if I can put them in my top 5 simply because of their track record. I guess I'm not mad at it, but I'm definitely more confident in the Lions to make the Super Bowl than I am in the Bills. So far, I feel like this list had to have pissed a few people off, because I feel like we know who some of those top teams are going to be, but you think your team maybe would squeeze into the top 5 at the 4 or 5 spot? Well, you want to talk about being pissed off? I'm pissed off, because at number 3, ChatGPT has the Baltimore Ravens. Hate's a strong word. I strongly dislike the Ravens, but I'm going to do my best to be nice and to be unbiased here. Here's what ChatGPT has to say about those Ratbirds. Last one, I promise. As we look ahead to the 2025 Super Bowl, the Ravens are highlighted as one of the top teams with favorable odds. Their consistent performance in the AFC and the dynamic play of their quarterback can make them strong contenders for the title next year. I'm not arguing with any of this. It's giving props to Lamar Jackson, obviously saying their consistent performance, which they have been consistent in the AFC. I will give them that. Lamar Jackson is absolutely electric. Maybe the most electric player in the NFL. A lot of people argue Patrick Mahomes, and I probably wouldn't argue that, but Lamar Jackson is a weapon no matter how you look at it. ChatGPT is saying they have consistent performance and strong quarterback play. Couldn't agree more. Now here's where I have issues, okay? Very similar to the Bills. It seems like the Ravens shut down in the playoffs. And just like I asked about the Bills, I have to ask about the Ravens. Is it Lamar Jackson? Is it Harbaugh? Who's not getting it done here? I mean, Harbaugh obviously has a Super Bowl championship, so he's proven that he can do it, but now do I like them at 3? Again, I have to believe that the Lions are more likely to get to the Super Bowl or to win the Super Bowl than the Ravens next year, for the exact same reason that I said about the Bills. It's just very hard to trust this team. They had the 1 seed this year, and still they didn't perform. They couldn't perform. I'm putting the Ravens at 5, and that's no shade, no personal hate. I said what I said about the Lions. They haven't had the opportunity to show us whether or not they're consistent, but the Bills and the Ravens both have shown us that they can't be consistent. Give me a drum roll. Coming in at the number 1 most likely team to win the Super Bowl next year, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, I'm up. I think we both know who number 1 and number 2 are, so I'm going to do things a little differently here. I'm going to tell you that both teams that played in the Super Bowl are number 1 and number 2. Coming in at number 1, we have the Kansas City Chiefs, and of course at number 2, the San Francisco 49ers. I think ChatGPT got this perfectly right. This is exactly who should be number 1 and number 2. It's hard to argue, right? So starting with the Niners at number 2, here's what ChatGPT had to say. The 49ers are known for their talented roster and power run scheme, which allows them to take control of games. With players like McCaffrey adding to their offense and a strong overall team performance, they have the potential to dominate. Despite being seen as underdogs in some predictions, their comprehensive team strength cannot be underestimated. So we're getting a McCaffrey shout out here. Second, third best player in the league. I mean, hard to argue that. How about ChatGPT saying they have the potential to dominate just based on their roster? That's some high praise, and it's hard to argue with, because at times they do dominate. They literally opened the season against my Steelers this year and dominated. So I've seen it firsthand. Now, despite being seen as underdogs in some predictions, were the 49ers ever underdogs this year? Like real true underdogs? I mean, they were the 1 seed in the NFC. A couple of bad losses, but every team's going to have those. They were literal favorites in the Super Bowl. This is where ChatGPT loses me a little bit. So the 49ers being at 2, yes, that's exactly how it should be. Number 2 is where they belong. I think they might be more talented than the Chiefs. When you talk about all-around team play, Patrick Mahomes won that Super Bowl this year with possibly the worst wide receiver corps to ever win a Super Bowl. I mean, they were dropping passes left and right, man. Like, all year long, it wasn't looking good. That's just one area where I think they could improve. On the other side, I feel like the Niners have very few weaknesses on their roster. Speaking of the Chiefs, here's what ChatGPT has to say about putting them at number 1. The Chiefs are a strong contender primarily because of their quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, and their elite scoring defense. Their ability to perform under pressure and their experience in previous Super Bowls gives them a significant advantage. The team's strategic play and Mahomes' leadership makes them a top pick for the Super Bowl victory. Best explanation so far, I would say, obviously have to give Mahomes his flowers. I mean, approaching GOAT status, and then giving that defense a shout out. Mahomes and Kelsey get all the attention and all the glory, but that defense is what got them to that Super Bowl and helped win them that Super Bowl by stopping that 49ers offense from scoring in overtime. I have to give credit where credit's due here, and I heard Pat McAfee talking about just the sheer amount of extra time that this team has spent together since they've been on their run. So let's just exclude Super Bowls here, and we'll only take AFC championships. Mahomes has played in 6 straight AFC championships. Every year that he has been a starting quarterback, he played in the AFC championship. The lead up to the AFC championship compared to teams that didn't make the playoffs is an extra month of football. The Chiefs have an extra 6 months of football since Patrick Mahomes has been the starter. Let's not forget, the NFL season is essentially 4 months, September, October, November, December. So this Chiefs team has like an extra season and a half since Mahomes has been the starter to just be a team. That is nothing to ignore. The ChatGPT bringing up their experience in previous Super Bowls, yeah. How about their experience in the playoffs as a whole? So here's ChatGPT's list versus my list of where I would rank these teams. I want to hear from you down in the comments. Tell me which one you agree with, me or the robot. Once again, thank you for watching Slice Sports. We will see you next time.